Looking from the house, just right over there, there's a little field between the pond and the house where I decided that I'm going to turn it into a small orchard. Right there's something that here in the Midwest, or at least in Missouri, they call it a lagoon. When your ground has too much clay in it and you can't percolate sewage water, you put it into an evaporation pond. And when I viewed the property, I noticed that the sewage lagoon had a persimmon tree standing right next to it. And I thought, boy, that has to be some really good persimmons. As it turns out, they are. They're really good. And when I first got here, the whole place was covered with grass about waist high and weeds. And as I gradually mowed more and more of it, I found that this area between the sewage pond and the regular pond had a lot of persimmon trees growing in it. And even a quince tree. There's a quince tree down there, down the hill. So I thought, well, this is a great place to have an orchard. So, as we all know, fruit trees are expensive. So what I've been doing is saving seeds from any fruit that I eat. I have some Granny Smith apple seeds there. Then I have a plate that has pear, apple, cherry, and peach seeds. And oh, there's even a couple of plum seeds in there. And of course, as intelligent viewers will know, these seeds have to be chilled, so it's a good idea to keep them in the refrigerator while you're waiting to plant them. And I'm sure we've all heard that when you plant apples from seeds, the apples, if your trees make apples, then they're not going to be any good. Well, that's somewhat of a myth, because planting apples from seeds just means that you're not going to get exactly what you planted. Or pears or peaches or whatever you're planting. They will not look exactly like the parents in the same way that you don't look exactly like your parents. We're all familiar with Gregor Mendel's famous chart of genetic inheritance. It shows the various traits that garden peas can inherit from two genetically different parents. On the other hand, we are also familiar with family resemblance. These dashing fellows look very similar to their father, which is why we have the old saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's also why I'm confident that my apples will end up pretty similar to the ones that produce the seeds. However, if I want to grow an established type of fruit, such as the Cosmic Crisp apple or the Bartlett pear, I would have to graft a stick from the parent tree onto a rootstock or plant a grafted tree from the nursery. Grafting or growing from cuttings is also known as clonal propagation, or growing a clone. Similarly, if we wanted Dad to have children exactly like him, we would have to grow a clone, which is how they get tons of exact same fruit in the supermarket every year. All things considered, even though any trees that grow in my orchard will not produce fruit exactly like the fruit I originally bought from the supermarket, I'm fairly confident that most of the fruit will be pretty decent. Now today's vocabulary lesson is dibble. D-I-B-B-L-E. A dibble is a little stick or tool that you use to poke a hole in the ground for planting seeds. I just happen to have a dibble right here. It's a 1/2-inch drive dibble. So just for the sake of making a concise video, I've already put out my flags. Since I didn't pay for these seeds, I can be as extravagant as I want with them. So I'm going to plant 2 peach pits per flag. And there's one over here. And, oh, I'm not going to plant dogs today. Hey, don't eat my seeds. Well, now it's late in the day, Thought I'd come back out here and take a look at what I did. I planted all those seeds I had in the tray. I have a whole line right here of little flags where I planted the peach seeds, 2 per flag. There's one of my wild native persimmon trees that's already growing. And then down at the end I planted plum seeds. Then I have 3 rows of flags here where I planted seeds that I got from Granny Smith and mostly Cosmic Crisp apples. So, you know, the seeds aren't going to breed true to what the parent stock was, but I don't care. You see trees all over the place that make nice apples, and there's no telling what they are. And if anything grows and I don't like the apple that it produces, I can just graft something else onto the top. I have a tree here. This is a quince tree that was growing wild when I got here. And I've already successfully grafted pears onto quince rootstocks, twice, so I'm pretty confident. Over there around the other side of the pond, there's another quince tree that was growing over in the pasture. And I grafted a D'Anjou pear onto it last spring. And this one I'm planning to graft a Bartlett pear onto it this spring because that makes a good pollinator for the Moonglow pear, which we already planted as a tree we got from the nursery. Quince is often used as a dwarfing rootstock for pears. It makes a smaller tree, bigger fruit, and earlier production, sometimes within just a year or 2. I also planted seeds from supermarket pears in a row to the left of where we're looking now. I just dropped an entire shriveled pear core with 4 or 5 seeds into the hole at 4 locations. Any seeds that grow will produce full-size pear trees. And any tree that makes good pears can be grafted onto anything that makes fruit I don't like. They say persimmons are hard to graft. I know pears and peaches are easy. I think apples are pretty easy too, although I've never done it. But I tried to graft a bunch of persimmons last year and it didn't work. So, one way or the other, I'll end up with something I can enjoy harvesting one of these days.